Hey guys, this is Cornell of oakcratesweb.com, and this is how to make a web page part 2. Well, if you recall, in the first episode, we developed the first page with some color, added a border, some text. Now we're gonna add a bit more to it. Let's just open up our text editor. Let's go to the HTML. I want to change this up a bit. I don't want that border right here. And let's get rid of this header width. What I'm going to do is create an ID selector. So I'm going to use pound box, opening curly brace, closing curly brace. Alright? You should get in the habit of doing this when you're doing CSS. You should have your selector, your opening curly brace, and as well as your closing curly brace. Let's add a width to the box of 250. You can set up any way you want, like 500 pixels, anything like that, or percentage. You could also, like, for example, with auto, and this will just spread across the whole page. But for now, I'm going to set it as 250. I'm going to add a height of, let's say, 100. And then a border of 1 pixel solid white. Keep it uniform since we're having a black background. We should have white text. When using CSS and HTML, keep in mind if you're going to use a dark background color, you should use light colored text because of the contrast. If you use dark colored text with dark colored background, or light colored background with a light colored text, it makes it hard on the eyes, makes it hard to read. Okay, and I'm also gonna include something called a border dash radius. There, spelled right. If you're not sure if you put a property down the right way, you could always go into your browser and go to w3schools.com. W3 Schools is a site with a bunch of tutorials on code. They got tutorials ranging from HTML to CSS. They have various tutorials that you can try out if you like. I'm just gonna wait till it loads. Let's go to, let's say, CSS3. If you want CSS3, it's just CSS, but the most current version. So if you go in borders, okay, it is border dash radius. Border dash radius. What's going on here? Border radius. Maybe if I add right here, border dash radius. I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just do like a 15 pixel border radius. And if you're going to use an ID, we use a tag called div. And let's use our ID selector. It's explanatory, right? ID, the attribute ID and then equal to, make the value box, which is what you called it. What we call it, slash div. Always put a closing tag. Of course, some tags like the link tag, as I explained in the last video, is the link tag is an empty tag. It's an opening and closing tag in and of its own. But you see most tags which are pretty much opening and closing tags. Okay, let's check this out. Let's see how it looks. As you can see, it's got a border again, but it's more rounded. That's what's cool about CSS3. And let's say I want this centered. We could do, for example, we do margin 0 auto. That could center it. And boom, check that out. And let's say we want to make that did I spell that right? CSS3 button. If you can't find exactly what you're looking for, you could always go to the search box and then hit search. It'll bring up a Google search for it. Or, yeah, it's Google search. And here we go. Appearance property. Ads from Google. People sure like using Google AdWords. Right. And this is free. Let's just go ahead and copy and paste this. Make our lives easier if it starts lagging on me. This is what you gotta watch out for: ads and images. They really slow down the page. But if you use code, it speeds up tremendously. And let's go and refresh this. Let's go and pull out this and this. And F5. And check that out. Okay, seeing as that color of the button really does not contrast that well with the color of the text, let's go and change this. Let's go with black and see how this looks. Okay, that's a lot better. As you can see, it gets the appearance of a button. You can also select the text on it, which is awesome. Now let's say you want to make this button go somewhere, like Google, for example. We could do this. Ref equals. You may be wondering like what href stands for. I like to think of it as meaning as hyperlink reference. Let's see, HTTP. We're just be putting the URL to Google. Great. Now I'm gonna misspell Google. Oh man. Okay. And we should put the closing A tag. The A tag, or aka anchor tag, turns it into a link. As you can see, it underlines it. Now let's change add more aspects to this. We could do something like box a link, opening, closing curly brace, and let's say we do not want that underline being there, so like text declaration none, and let's go and refresh this. Check that out, no underline. And let's say we want the same size as the button itself, so we could always add a width same as the button itself, so 250 pixels, and a height 150 px. No, it was 100. Sorry about that, guys. We could go and refresh this, and I should go to Google. Check that out. Now, if you don't want it leaving, let's say you have a website and you don't want a link leaving your page, what you could do is there's an attribute in the anchor tag called target, and if you set the value to underscore blank, depending on the browser, believe it or not, some people have less than current browsers like IE6, IE8, things like that. If you have the value underscore blank in IE6 and IE8, I think it opens a new window. And as for IE9, Google Chrome, Firefox, maybe even Safari, I'm not totally sure, it opens a new tab, which is awesome. So let's just go ahead and do this real quick. Of course, you really do not need this here, this H1 tag. You can get the same effect by copying this and placing it here. So let's just Control X and let's paste it right here. Let's get rid of this H tag. Well, H1 selector. And to why it's also a selector, if you have a CSS, for example, P as a selector, if you got a P tag, for example, let's put it right here next to this, it will style anything with a P tag on it, opening and closing, of course. And what a P tag is pretty much a paragraph, which is why a P tag is also known as a paragraph tag. HTML and CSS is not that difficult to understand. It helps to know the basics. So let's see. The color is black. Text align center. Width and height is 100. Let's go with box a colon hover. As well. In CSS, if you see something like a selector colon something else, and you select the colon in between. I believe it's called a pseudo class, and it styles. Well, a link is a link itself, and a hover is what will happen if you mouse over it. For example, let's say we want it to be the background color to be yellow. That's our thought. So let's give that a width of 250 px, height of 100 px. Let's go and see how this looks. Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? We should add a font size. Oh, that's probably why I'm not doing what I wanted to do. Let's get rid of this background color for now. And let's go and increase the size because that's way too small. Font size, property. Let's say we wanted like a 20 point size. Alright. And change to our target equals underscore blank. It opens up a new tab. Okay. Well, what we're gonna also gonna do is, let's say, let's create a header area. Say we want this div in a header. Let's say you don't want each link inside the same button. If you want it to be in its own little world, its own little button, you could always copy and paste in here. And if you do this for each A tag, it'll start out the same. Oh, and if we're gonna have this as, let's turn this into a nav, a navigation. The header and nav tags are brand new to HTML5. HTML5, when it was released, it came with an onslaught of new tags and some very awesome features. Like in the past, in order to create a header, you would have to use a div or possibly an image. And with header tag, we could just style it with the CSS, reference it with header, and make it a lot simpler for us. Let's go and create another A tag, just to show you, just by doing this, gives it the same button appearance. Let's go with some major search engines. Let's go with Bing. Crud, did not mean to do that. If you want it under online, using a P tag is a good way of doing that. Let's go with And instead, my first web page should actually label it the site. Google. This is Bing. And let's have Yahoo be our last link. Yahoo.com. Oh, I forgot the underscore blank and target. There we go. Underscore blank. Of course, if you're fine with it going to a different portion of the page, as long as they are the pages you created and it's pages of your website, then you can just leave out the target equals underscore blank. But if it's from another site, I will have I think it's best to have it open a new tab so that people don't have to go back like to the address bar and just type in your site name.com. Let's go back to your site. Okay, let's see how this looks. Of course, it does be buttons. Okay. So it's not centered anymore. Interesting. We can go with, for example, let's nav link and changes to nav hover and see how that looks. Nope, not gonna happen. Okay, let's go with, see how this works out for us. Well, in other words, it still works just fine. Apple, Google, this is Yahoo. I'm glad these all work, but I don't want to spend all day waiting for them to load or anything. Okay, now we could have them being vertical, or I mean horizontal. They're already vertical, right? What are you talking about? If you like them vertical, we could always have them like a sidebar type of deal. No, no sidebar tag. I was hoping there was, but there isn't a side tag, which are great for, let's say, sidebars. Oh, I don't disclose div anymore. Side. Great, I missed the left side. Okay, we could, for example, how about this? I'm going to show you guys an inline style. Normally what I've been showing you is like how to reference CSS from an external. There are many ways to include a style sheet or CSS in a web page. This is one of them. It's known as an inline style, where you can just style anything from the tag. Let's say we want a background. We'll put back dash color, and let's say we want it Well, actually, let's do this. Let's go to 33 schools and check out their hex value chart. I really hate this slow loading. I'll hurry it up. Oh man, it's gonna take a while. Oh, look at that! Right when I was about to close it, it just finished up. Check that out, guys. The free school is afraid of me. It wants to please. Of course, I really don't go that way. Of course. Hey guys, what's with all these hate groups that are still going on around here? I mean, come on. This is supposed to be year 2012. It's supposed to be the country as a whole should have been past that by now. But still, I mean, wow. This country still needs to grow up a bit. What are your thoughts about that? You can leave them in the comment section. But for now, let's get back to what we're doing. Color hex values. Hex names. In CSS color values, you get a cool hex value chart. And with hex values, you can get many different shades of color. As soon as everything loads. As I said, guys, watch out for the ads and images. It slows down the page. If it's just code, it would just be so much faster. As you can see, there are many different kinds of shades of colors you can use. Let's try this one out. Let's go with medium sea green. And paste it here. And let's say we wanna, let's make a width equals what am I doing? CSS. Width is, what should we make this? Maybe 360. And height, let's set to auto. As to why auto, that way we don't have to constantly adjust the height. It will just do that on its own. But the reason we don't want width to be auto is that it just across the whole page. If you want something to have width as auto, I think it's best to have the body selector have it, the whole page in general. Now let's add a border dash radius and give it a 15 pixel. And let's go and save this and see how this looks. Let's go to F5 and check that out. You got ourselves a border. And actually, that color looks awesome. But these buttons are killer. I mean, come on. They're way too big. Let's just go into the code and change the size. Instead of the width being 250, let's make 150. And instead of the height, no, let's make it 100. And make the height 80. Do the same for the hover. 100. And we want you at 80. Let's go and check this out. Okay, apparently not. Let's see, how do you change the size of this thing? Oh, right, it's the box. That's gotta be changed. That's a big duh, Rabus. Okay, let's do an F5. Okay! Now then, we really do need to move these guys. So let's do margin left and give it maybe 250 px from the left border. See, this censors it. Okay, that's way too far. Let's go with 150. See if that censors it. Okay, we're close. Make it 125. Perfect. There we go. Now then. Let's see, what else should we do? Box should already have a good border radius. But if not, let's try a border radius of 2 pixels. See how that looks. Okay, still got that square look to it. I don't know, about 20 pixels then. Okay, I think that's fine for now. As for headers, we could do something like this. Almost spelled herder. Okay, and let's do a background dash color of what color should we do it? Where should we make it? I wonder. Well, actually, I'll let you guys decide. What color should we make the header background? Well, thank you guys for watching. This is Ortiz Cabrino of oakgraceful.com. Till next time. So long.